everybody. Put your hands together. Let's hear it for Whitcomb.
Once upon a time, I met a guy named Tracy. It was the early 90s, and we were young and in love. We were going to school in Chicago. We dated for a few years, and then we broke up for a few decades. But we stayed in touch, letters, landlines, oldie-timey ways. We also still did hook up a few times in Vegas, as you often do if you find yourself in Sin City with an ex-paramour. And then we didn't really talk for about 12 years and maybe liked some things on Facebook. And then in 2015, he moved to Oregon. And when I went up to Portland to visit some friends, so we met for lunch. And I was nervous to see him again. And when I did, he looked so good. And I was like, oh, shit. And I wanted to kiss him again. We met for lunch at Dave & Buster's in Portland. So fucking random. And we both kind of had a vibe. We tried to prolong the date. So we played like a lot of games. We played like that Giant Connect 4 and Pop a Shot. I dominated both of those. And they were trying to keep the day going on a little bit further, so we went shopping. I went to Nordstrom to buy some yoga pants, so he came with me for that. And then I went in and took a secret shit in the Nordstrom ladies' room. Yes! Because it's fancy in there, because it's a lounge, and also because of the spinach dip at Dave & Buster's. It was the most random afternoon. He said he'd eaten a kidney. I offered to get tested, and then he got a pretzel. I always follow my heart. Roll call, bones, systems, organs, muscular, skeletal, immune, nervous, respiratory, reproductive, digestive, etc., etc. We all know I've been in charge for 40-some years. I run this bitch. But we've got a bit of a curveball, and you're all going to need to pitch in order for this to succeed. Everyone remembers Tracy, right? Haley's college boyfriend. Well, fast forward a few decades, and he needs a kidney. And I'm authorizing Amy to give him one of hers. I need all organs on their best behavior. Everybody give some extra love to the immune system. You know, she feels everything, but looks the other way a lot. Now, there are a lot of questions, but let me speak directly to the kidneys. First of all, thank you for your service. You two have been loyal, peaceful workhorses for 40 years. This move changes lives. Some might say it saves a life. And while I already know you'll be a match for Tracy, the doctors like to back it up with science. So you will be tested in the coming months beyond your usual limits. But I have the utmost confidence in your output and efficiency. I want you to grow from quite the tiny pair of beans into glorious, glorious golden kidneys. This is part of your purpose, Amy. And with much power comes much responsibility. I'll be real honest, LK. I am flattered. I'm completely overwhelmed, but also feel like a bit of a boss of this body. I can't do this. I can't be without you. I can't be without her. We have to stay together. I've never heard the heart sound so cold before, so savage. One of us has to go. They're going to cut us open and take one of us out because we're so good at our jobs? This is bullshit. I got you, baby. It's okay. Wow, what an opportunity for one of us. And everybody gets a new life. Amy, Tracy, you, me. Oh, the possibilities. And think about this. 120,000 people need new kidneys, and only 20,000 will get them this year. So 100,000 will keep waiting. It's a chance to do something big. Alrighty, my love. You know I can't do math when I'm this emotional. I don't want to know a life without you. We spend our whole lives here together, and we're so connected to everything around us. We're better together, and you know I can't give that up without a fight. We're in the prime of our lives. Hell no, we won't go. It's okay, baby. We'll still be together. You missed a few meetings, but I got it straight from the heart. Her and Tracy are gonna be together forever. This reconnection's gonna work. You're delusional. Like, where's this extra ego been hiding all my life? Behind that Eureka? And is committed to living life exactly on her own terms. And that's not going to change now. She's 44! So we started the lengthy testing process at UCLA. They test your body and bits for everything except weed. And they wanted me to collect my urine for 24 hours, so I did that. And you're also supposed to keep it cold. So it was in my fridge, which is fucking disgusting, but I gave it its own shelf. And I did a collection on a Sunday, and I was about midway through the day, and I was like, I don't think I have enough receptacles for all this output. And so I contacted UCLA. They told me to put my extra pee into water bottles. So I had 4 Crystal Geyser bottles and a jug of pee. And the next day I have to get ready to take it to UCLA, and I was like, I didn't think about how to transport this to UCLA. So I improvised, and I used one of those cardboard carriers you get from Ralph's when you buy 6 bottles of wine. I fucking rolled in there with that. I got piss in 4 corners and a big old jug in the middle. It didn't even occur to me to bring a cooler like other people did. Like, rolled on in with my wine piss. Oh my God. And I was actually really worried about driving it to UCLA because at the time I was driving my 2003 Saturn Vue, and R.I.P. buddy. It had a few undiagnosed fan belt issues at the time, so I would just barely be driving and then in traffic, and then it would just start shaking out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh yeah, cool everyone, we know what this is, no worries, right? So I was so fucking worried that I was gonna have to like pull over and use the piss to cool down my car as I'm driving my fucking Clampett mobile through Beverly Hills. Yeah. So I got to UCLA, and I met with a cardiologist, I met with a nephrologist, I met with a gynecologist, a dermatologist, not a weed doctor, met with a endocrinologist, met with everybody. And they test you for everything. They test your boobs, they test your blood, they test your urine, they test your patience. They tested me for STDs, check, clear. They test me for everything, except weed. They also have you meet with a social worker for an assessment and evaluation. Well, I mean, I want to donate to Tracy because I love him and he needs a kidney, and I never expected that we would get back together, but I feel like the universe has brought us and he needs a kidney, and I mean, I know I'm going to be a match, and I love him. No. No, I mean, no, I wouldn't consider myself a religious person. I believe in like a higher power, and that there's, things I'm not in control of, and there's a big old universe in charge, but not in any type of like organized way. I mean, I was Catholic growing up, but I gave that up for Lent one year and it stuck. The day after I had all the tests, I had an allergic reaction to the contrast dye that they put in me for the CT scan, so my face and body blew up. So I had to go on prednisone and Benadryl for a few days, and I was like a zombie. I don't really remember most of it. And I had to have my neighbors, because Tracy and I were long distance, so I had to have my neighbors come check on me every 30 minutes to make sure that, my throat didn't close up. It was either that or go to the ER, which of course sounds like always a nightmare. So my face didn't close up. It all worked out. I didn't die from that. And a few weeks later, heard back from UCLA. Spoiler alert, I was a match, as expected. And but they did say that I needed to. They found some skin cancer, not a big shock there. They found some ovarian cysts. Where my sisters at, right? And then they told me that since my A1C was a 5.7, which is your diabetes number, and since it's in my family, that they said, well, we think you need to lose 10 pounds. And I immediately blurted out, I love champagne and candy. Because I thought, I don't know, I just thought if I said that, then they'd know that's why my A1C was high. I'll just tell you, I like candy, I like champagne, that's my thing, whatever. But they said, well, go ahead and lose the 10 pounds, lose your ovarian cyst and your skin cancer, and then come back in 3 months and get retested. That's kind of a tall order, but I have a good therapist. I mean, it's a lot right now. Yeah, the skin cancer surgery on my abdomen was a nightmare, and I had to go back to Iowa and see my dad, who was not doing well. And I think I did like 3 months of yard work in like one weekend. It's a fucking nightmare there. And then I got home, and the stitches for my abdomen, the ones didn't dissolve, they burst out. Like a month after the surgery, they look like maggots. I guess I'm a stitch spitter. I mean, I guess that's a technical term. When your body doesn't dissolve this, doesn't absorb it, and it just spits it back out, because it's happened before. It's just like, fuck, I am so exhausted right now, and I don't know how I can lose 10 pounds. I just want to sleep. I mean, yeah, I want to do this. I mean, I love Tracy. I've never loved anyone like him before. It seems like this is what I'm supposed to do.
I know this is the right thing to do. She loves him so. What are you doing? This doesn't make any sense. You're an idiot. This makes all the sense in the world. I feel this deep in all my valves. He needs a kidney. We have an extra kidney. Let's give him the kidney. Why wouldn't we help him? There's a lot of reasons not to give him a kidney, for fuck's sake. I mean, first of all, when's the last time you saw this guy? Second of all, if I lose a kidney, shit could get real cloudy up here. You're not thinking about anyone else yourself, you selfish fucking flesh. Trust me, this will be worth it.
I was on such a codependent meets type A adjacent path that nothing was going to deter me from proving my love! I spent the next, a few cycles go by. I got wanded, a few cycles went by, the cyst went away. Where my sister's at, you know how we do it. I had the surgery for my skin cancer, and finally I could start exercising. I needed to lose 10 pounds, so I ate a lot of egg whites, a lot of salads, and I went to Barry's boot camp, and I lost 10 pounds. Which is funny, I could lose 10 pounds in 6 weeks, and it'd taken me close to 10 years to try to lose that 10 pounds. No, I was very motivated. Yeah. And my A1C dropped to 5.3, and I was cleared for surgery.
Yeah!
So we set a date for a month out, and then the next day, UCLA called me, and they're like, hey, what about if you gave your kidney to somebody else? I was like, what the fuck? What? And I was like, well, how would that work, and what about the kidney for Tracy? And like, oh, actually, you're such a good match with this other person that we've already found him another kidney. I'm like, well, what about the surgery date? Well, you can still keep it on the same date. And I would just give it to another person, and instead of Tracy, like I was only in the kidney game because of Tracy. It wasn't like, yeah, I just think I'll give a fucking organ to some random person and see how it goes. You know what I mean? Like, that was never in my world. There are altruistic organ donors out there. Not here. Not here. We set the surgery date, and they asked for the kidney, and I was like, I couldn't even sleep that night thinking about what's going to happen. What if the other kidney get to Tracy wasn't a good one? What if my kidney went to someone who voted Republican? Keep in mind, this was 2 weeks before the election. And I was like, I can't give it to anyone else. So I politely declined their tacky fucking offer. And surgery was set for 3 weeks later. And then the following week, my aunt died. It's my Aunt Darlene, who lived in New Orleans, and she was like a mother to me after my mom died. And it was 3 weeks before surgery, and she'd been such a big supporter of Tracy and I and our whole kidney process that I was just fucking gutted. And Tracy had met her. We'd gone down to New Orleans for her 80th birthday trip. So it was a good chance at that time then for me to introduce my black boyfriend to some racists. But we celebrated her 80th, and it was such a magical thing. I was so glad I was there. And then when she died, I was fucking devastated. So we went to New Orleans for the funeral, and I didn't know it at the time, but it was also the last time I saw my dad and my uncle alive. Came back from the funeral, and then Tracy moved in with me, and we thought about postponing the surgery because I wasn't doing well, my dad wasn't doing well, but the election was very close. We didn't want there to be any changes with the insurance, so we plowed on through because that's what I do, or I did rather, and we got the place painted. We were grieving. We got new floors put in as we were learning to figure out what it was like to live together. All just a couple weeks before surgery. And then 14 wake-ups later, and it was surgery day. And everything went great. They basically put 3 holes in my left abdomen, and then they blow it up with gas so they can go in there and rewire you. And then they cut your trans-abdominal muscle, which is a really big one. And then they took the kidney out, like right above my puss. And I did great. I wasn't really even in a lot of pain, and the incision pain wasn't that bad. I was on some drugs. I was doing pretty well, though, and the surgeon came to visit me that night, and I had asked him specifically to take a lot of pictures of my kidney during surgery, because I'm that person who took my tonsils to show and tell in 3rd grade. I'm just honoring my truest self. So he showed me the pictures, and then I showed him how to airdrop, because surgeons do not know everything. And the kidney was doing great in Tracy. He had a record output. They said I had a golden kidney. Everything was going very swimmingly. They asked me if I wanted to leave after the one night, and I was like, could I stay too? Because I've just given an organ. Like UCLA, they're trying to get you out of there. They put me in a NICU overflow room. Like, look, I understand I didn't need the fucking suite, the ocean view that Tracy had, but maybe not a leftover baby bedroom. I don't know. I was also sharing a bathroom with other patients' wives, so that was charming. I left the hospital after 2 days. A week later, I hadn't pooped. It's kind of a big deal. And I had tried everything. I told them what was happening. They told me to try everything I had tried. I had tried the Metamucil. I tried coffee. I tried pickled beets. I tried suppositories. And after 3 enemas, and then I sneezed, and nothing happened, they said, hey, why don't you come back into UCLA? I was like, okay, it seems like a good idea, because I was fucking miserable. And thank God for my friends Lisa and Matt, because they drove me. I was planning to lift to my own bowel de-impaction. Yeah, my bowels were impacted. What is a de-impaction, you say? Let me tell you. The surgeon fisted me 5 separate times while mixing it up like a cement mixer. The surgeon and the social worker used the terms massive and nuclear. And after like the 5th time, I was like, I can't take it anymore. He's like, did it work? I was like, I don't know. Am I supposed to like shit in your hand? Like, I'm like ripped on a fucking like exam bed, like holding on to the windowsill, and they said, well, let's try it. So we walk down the hall and to the bathroom, and I get in there, and I kicked over one of those yellow caution floor, wet floor signs, and I fucking DIY'd it into a squatty potty. Where my squatty potters at, right? And then I could see the silhouette of the social worker, the nurse, and the doctor through like the frosted glass of the bathroom door, and I was like, look out, John, I'm about to take a week's worth of shit in here. And because I was kind of in charge in that moment, I had the social worker go back out and get my phone from Lisa so I could be on my phone during that. And then I think I took like 4 shits. You know what I mean? And I was like, I think we're good enough. And so Lisa and I went down to the gift shop to get snacks. I remember I got Fritos, and then Matt drove us home. But my body was fucked up. Well, she and I have been through some dark times before, but this is a betrayal of epic proportions, I say. She froze me, she drugged me, she put me on lockdown, she rewired my best to Rita, and then she rehomed Lefty. So many betrayals, I stopped keeping track. She's getting a hard pass from me, and by that I mean it's going to be hard for her because I'm not going to let nothing pass through. She ain't getting shit out of me. Oh my god. Hello, partner in crime, I love your twisted ways. Oh, well, hello, herniated disc. Who invited you? The surgeon's fest. I'm so glad to be in boots with you, Big C. I guess you could say I'm back. You've probably followed my career. I thought I got my big break at the Moonlight Rollaway in Glendale, but this is the biggest audience since the Ralph Shopping Cart incident. Amy brings me up in every conversation, and it's glorious. From Ralph's to the Rollaway to Ribs. I usually prefer to work alone, but I'm over it. I had a good run. She used to talk about me all the time and bragged about my output for years. Well, I've been silenced for years. I couldn't even get any background work. Oh, I see why. I'd like to get this partnership, and she'll talk shit about me for years, the bad kind. Hashtag career goals. My body was in fucked up shape. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't shit, I couldn't have orgasms, and those were all of my happy places. I couldn't have any orgasms. I couldn't get out of bed. Tracy wouldn't look at my kidney scars because it grossed him out. I cried every day, specifically on Tuesdays at 2 when I met with my therapist. I don't even know this body. I don't recognize it. I can't exercise. I can't do anything to make myself feel better like I used to do. I don't know what to fucking do. I just cry all the time, and I sleep, and it's fucking awful. I don't know what to do. Where's Tracy? I mean, he just leaves me alone most of the time. Sometimes he'll ask if I want something to eat. So it's kind of like room service, mediocre, but nothing more than that. And then sometimes I get up and feed the cats. I feel guilty. I can't go back to Iowa. I don't have orgasms. And I told Tracy that I didn't want to be here. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be here, and I kind of wanted to walk into traffic. And he didn't even look up from his laptop, and he said, "Did you tell your therapist?" And then I just kept crying. I don't know what I get from him. I mean, sometimes he's funny, sometimes he makes me feel better. Yeah, I don't know why I'm chasing breadcrumbs when I deserve the whole loaf. Success, success, I love it. I finally have my partner in crime. She's the Linda to my Lonnie, the Kathleen to my Lacey. Oh my God. Thanks a lot, you twisted fucks. You're working together now? Seriously, see, you are better than this. Wow, we used to be cool. Dark times call for dark measures. Why don't you shut up, you pussy? I'm the clitoris, you piece of shit. Oh my God. I bring her more joy than any of you other bits. You're jacking it with my mojo, and that pisses off my army, which is 8,000 nerve-ending strong. We are a powerhouse of pleasure. This is not the way to fuck with us. I have contacts in high places. Things went from dark to real dark. My dad died, and I was in pretty shitty physical pain flying back to Iowa for his funeral. And then on the day of his funeral, his brother died. And so we spent a few days in Iowa, then we flew back to Los Angeles for one day, and then we went to New Orleans for my uncle's funeral. And the one day when I was back in LA, I went to work. Makes sense. And I had an epic meltdown. My client yelled at me, so I had a huge meltdown. It was like one of those scenes from a movie where you have like a big office meltdown, you're at your cubicle, you're crying on the phone with your therapist, you're on the phone with your supervisor, and you just like fold up the Lenovo laptop, and you're like, I'm probably never coming back here again. And then I took this plant that I had, and I walked home in the dark, like Natalie Portman at the end of The Professional. Exactly what that was like. Exactly what that was like. I remember sitting in Iowa at my dad's funeral, before his funeral, and I was drinking champagne out of a Cracker Barrel cup in the hot tub of a La Quinta Inn, part of a 5-day stay in Clive, Iowa, and I remember thinking, oh, I'm a long way from feeling better. It was really rough. I didn't get out of bed for a month. And I stayed in bed, and then a few months later, Tracy's dad died. And then he went back to deal with his family. So we spent the next 6 months of the next year not together. And then when he did come back, and while he was gone, he wasn't paying any of his bills in Los Angeles, as we had previously agreed to. And then when he came back, we fought a lot. We didn't share a bed. We didn't fuck, we just fought, like a lot. And we went to couples therapy, and he forgot we were going to couples therapy, so he showed up late, and then he lied to the couples therapist about why he was late. So that's a great start for couples therapy. And we grew further apart, and then we fought a lot more. And then one night we fought about the TV. So maybe it really wasn't about the TV. And then he said, well, why don't you take the easy way out, like when you say you want to kill yourself?
Yeah.
And I was like, I cannot believe you threw my mental health at me in a fight about the fucking TV. And I was crying, I was so upset, and I was like, can't you just tell me everything's gonna be okay? Can't you just hug me, tell me everything will be better? And he said to me, I'm not going to give you a hug just because you want me to. And I gave that motherfucker a kidney.
What was I thinking?
You weren't thinking because you don't. That's my job. You just feel and react. Feel and react. Feel and react. Pedestrian. Pedestrian, I say. So the next day, after he had thrown my mental health at me in a fight and then refused to give me a hug, that next morning, he bounced a rent check, which was the second one. I'm sorry, the rent check was to me. That's not clear. I was a landlord at the time. And then that was the second month in a row that happened. And so we got a new fight, and I told him to pack his shit, and 2 days later, he was gone. And I felt sad, but also lighter. It felt like there was light in my home that there hadn't been before. Even though I was sad, there was an immediate feeling of like, oh, okay, yeah. And then a week later, it was Valentine's Day, which is also National Organ Donor Day, for those of you who don't keep track of that. And he sent me a text that night that told me that the internet was going to be cut off tomorrow. That was the one fucking bill in his name, okay? The Spectrum bill is in his name. And I was just like, this motherfucker. So I called Spectrum and I found my Spectrum sister. Her words, she called herself my Spectrum sister. She did. And I could tell she felt bad for me. So she hooked me up. I had a new guy coming out the next day, and then guess who didn't return his fucking Spectrum modems or whatever. This girl, not my new modems. And so she felt bad for me, but in that moment I was like, oh, actually, I kind of feel better about me than I have for a really long time. So I was like, oh, I'm just handling shit again. And I did, I did a lot of things to make myself feel better that weren't exercise related, which is a really fucking challenge. But I started feeling better month after month. I hit lots of rocky points too, because I thought I was going to be with this guy for the rest of my life. Like, there was no doubt in my mind that we were going to be together forever. And I'd also never been that alone before, like my mom and dad were dead and my bonus mom and dad were dead, and then this guy that I thought I was going to be with forever was gone, and it was fucking dark, but I wanted to be here more then than I had before, and so I took note of that, and shout out to my cats who couldn't be here tonight, but they're awesome. They're so awesome. They sat next to me and flanked me and anchored me like fucking gargoyles for like the next 6 months. And then one day at a time or whatever, and I got a new job and I started paying my bills myself again. And it was a really fucking long road back. And sometimes we'd be in touch via text, and then he would still keep asking me for stuff, He would ask me if he could come stay with me when he came out to LA. And I was like, I'm not sure that's best for me. Let me think about that. Also, where's July's money? Because he had been kind of good about paying money sometimes and stuff. And then, so he got mad because I asked about the money. And so he sent me this text back that was like, I can see the path you've chosen. Just forget I asked to stay at the manor. Thanks for everything and take care. Seriously? That was in August. I'm like, did you just give me a take care text? And I'm like, fuck yourself all the way. So I blocked him because that felt like the healthy thing to do. So I blocked him for a couple of months. Thank you. Yep. And then I decided to unblock him because I was feeling a little bit better about stuff, but I still hadn't been in touch, hadn't heard anything from him, and thought that was best. And then I got a text from him last night that said, thanks for 3 years ago, you gave me a kidney, and he sent this picture of us in the hospital, so I started crying, and, he said nice things about me, a little late, and then he said, good luck, thanks for the gift, your generosity is awesome, something like that, and then he's like, and, good luck in all your future endeavors. So I guess now we've reached the HR relationship thing. Your chosen path, take care, thank you, and good luck with all your future endeavors. I'm like, okay.
How can this be possible? How can she be happy when I'm broken? I'm forever a mystery, but you take care of me and then the other all bits will fall in line. I take a lot of work, but I'm worth it. You'll recover hard, perhaps we can work together moving forward. But right now I have quite the mess to clean up after your shenanigans. Speaking of, I think the colon has some amends to make. Sorry for all the disruption. I wasn't my best self, and I acted out and hurt a lot of bits. I was really frustrated with all the change around here, but I tried to fuck with your power, and I won't make that mistake again. She almost walked into traffic because of me. Oh my God. Calm down, it wasn't all you, but apology accepted.
I don't regret giving a kidney. I may regret doing it at UCLA because they have very, very low standards of community care. Technically, it might not fall under malpractice, but it does fall under below standard level of care. But I don't regret giving it to him because everyone deserves to be healthy, and he didn't vote for Trump. And my kidney's doing great in him, so I'm like happily haunting him every day. So, that's 98% kidney function and used to have 13. He has higher kidney function than his doctors do. And so I'm not sure if I wanted all of that to happen in that short period of time, but I feel like I am on the other side of it, and I fought like hell to be here, and I won't ever take shit again for granted. And I feel grateful to be here. I have more compassion. It may not sound like that, but I do. I have more empathy. I have more light that I even know what to do with. And I'll say, if someone asks you for a hug, give it to them. If somebody asks you for a kidney, maybe think twice.